Winning the election is the first phase. Establishing partnerships will come next.
I think the important thing for him will be to put his mouth where his money is and to go hard against corrupt officials. It will not be easy for him to break the system. And of course, a lot will depend on the outcome of the October parliamentary elections and whether he will be able to build a coalition.
The man who has played a fictional president will now lead this country for the next 5 years. And Ukraine has elected an independently wealthy person with no political experience, but a very popular TV show. Something we may have seen before elsewhere. Francis Collins, TRT World, Kiev.
Let's get some more reaction on the results from Peter Zalmayev, who is the director of the Eurasia Democracy Initiative. He joins us now from Kiev. It is the day after the results. What's been the reaction there from people? Are they excited, hopeful?
Well, people are excited and people are hopeful, but, once again, to reiterate the point that the vote for Mr. Zelensky was rather a vote against the incumbent, the former President Petro Poroshenko. Ukrainians have shown that they're tired of politics as usual, and in that respect, they've sort of followed the pattern that we have observed elsewhere, including in Western democracies, such as the 2016 election of Donald Trump, then the vote for Brexit in Britain, and the ascendance of populist forces elsewhere in Western Europe, including in Italy, where Zelensky's colleague from the comedy world, Mr. Beppe Grillo, also became a figure that carried the day a few years ago. So for Mr. Zelensky, it will be a very tricky first few months as he starts to try to implement his policy objectives. He will have to deal with the sclerotic and somewhat and largely bureaucratic state. He will have to show Ukrainians that he is willing to dissociate himself from big businessmen, from big oligarchs, no less Mr. Kolomoisky, the oligarch who is in exile in Israel, who is said to have been behind Mr. Zelensky's candidacy from the start.
So how much pressure is Zelensky under here to demonstrate as quickly as possible that he actually can be a leader who actually can make change in a positive way for Ukraine?
Well, Ukrainians are notoriously fickle when it comes to their enthusiasm about their newly hatched leaders. It takes usually 2 months for them to grow disappointed and weary. Mr. Zelensky will have the slow summer months to try to build support for the very important parliamentary elections, which will happen in October. And unless he is able to form a sizable and credible coalition in parliament, he's going to have a very difficult time proving himself.
What does Zelensky's win mean for relations with Russia, and what problems will he inherit?
Well, Russia has, had a sort of a field day with Zelensky candidacy. On the one hand, they're counting on the fact that Zelensky, as a inexperienced politician, will be much easier to deal with when it comes to negotiating directly with Vladimir Putin, and will make concessions. That remains to be seen. So far, he's made all the right, sounds as far as his stance vis-a-vis Russia's aggression in the Donbass and the Crimea. And on the other hand, Russians, I think deep down, are envious of the sort of exercise of vibrant democracy that Ukrainians have demonstrated when they held free and fair democratic elections, when they held those debates that took place in a stadium attended by thousands of people, something completely unheard of in Putin's Russia.
All right, Peter Zalmayev joining us from Kiev. Thank you.